Hmm. All right, cool.
What's up?
What's going on, Fly? How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Was that joint give you trouble?
No, I just have been waiting for a second.
Oh, okay. That's weird. This
Mm,
thing is,
Yeah, I requested it and then it just left me in the waiting room.
yeah, like what the heck? All right. But anyway, we here. Let's get it. Good to see you in person.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
likewise,
You know what I
likewise.
mean? Yeah, thank God you ain't catfish me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm playing.
It's a lot of things out here happening in these streets.
Look. This is gonna be dope. How's your day going though?
It's going good, mothering.
Yeah. You got one of my favorite jackets from you on too. That joint dope.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm definitely I'm gonna get my wife one of them joints. Them joints. Yo, like, look, we about to get into this. This is about to be crazy.
Excited.
Yeah. Fashion Ministry Marketplace. For some reasons, it's not letting me go live from that page, but we here. We still gonna get it done. You know what I mean? To God be the glory. Thank you so much for coming on with us, coming on with me. Just accepting, the invitation. Um, I really do appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? You didn't know me at all, still getting to know me. And I think that this is gonna be really dope. Kingdom Work, Ministry Marketplace, in the fashion industry. But my name is Jeremiah Chase, for people who don't know who I am. I'm the founder and CEO of Fashion Ministry Marketplace. Um, and this is our debut. We had a live earlier, so this is our second special guest with Cierra Fly Bobo. Sis, if you could just take some time right now and just introduce yourself.
All right, what's up? My name is Cierra Fly. Most people call me Fly or Sierra. It depends on where you know me from. That's really the kicker. But that's how I know what era people met me in. But it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I was able to start a clothing brand during the pandemic, June 21st of 2020, which was Father's Day. And I started on Father's Day to pay homage to my parents. So the name of the brand is June Marie, and Marie comes from my mom's name, which is Maria. And so yeah, this whole clothing line was just really like a celebration of overcoming all of the things I went through, even to get to be born. Really, it's a story even behind my birth and how I was supposed to be given up for adoption when I was born, taken away immediately. My mom was put into a home for teen pregnant moms, only to give up the at the last minute, God stopped that, and I was able to be raised with my biological parents. And then my dad got addicted to drugs, and so I just have this whole testimony. And so, really, the line has been a childhood dream. I've always wanted to start my own clothing line. Since I was like 8 years old, my mom bought me this machine. It was like a bedazzle machine where I was able to like customize my jeans and put out these stones and stuff. And I was just tearing up all my clothes in order to be creative, and I fell in love, and so I end up just keeping that desire in me to have my own clothing line one day. And God fulfilled the vision in 2020. Everything aligned, and I was able to launch June Marie, and that's a short version of how we got here, who I am, and the name of my clothing brand.
Yeah, well, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely want to know the long version. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Because
okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
sis, you know what I mean? You was going in on the phone when we talked. I know you was on your way to work, and I was just like, yo, this is about to be crazy. Um, so like, I mean, all right. So just to talk about fashion Genesis. Genesis means the beginning. And so like I want to know like what was your fashion genesis like? You know what I'm saying? Like when you know, what were you doing before the bedazzle, or what was you even thinking about before you even got that machine?
Well, shoot, I was super young then, so because I got the machine at like 8 or 7, so before then I was just being a kid, and I think that was the first time, other than outside of maybe basketball, that I aspired to do something. Like, oh, I want to do this. For a long time, basketball and fashion was competing with each other on which path I was going to pursue. And so, but eventually, once I got to high school, and I found out that basketball kept me sweaty, and I couldn't keep my hair together, and even though and I got into boys and all that stuff. I was like, man, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get a job after school instead of going to practice after school. So I got a job at Foot Locker, and
Okay.
I got all the discounts, so I kept the fresh J's on and the fresh clothes, and I just wanted to look cute. And then I realized that my passion for appearance and apparel was a little greater than basketball, even though that's still one of my dearest passions. But yeah, so I end up choosing the basketball route. But just to back it up from a ministry perspective, 8 was when my mom bought me the bedazzle machine, and then I gave my life to Christ as a teenager. And so around my teenage years, early teenage years, maybe around even like 14 or somewhere in there, God gave me a vision that I would be designing suits for
Ooh.
influencers, and he gave me that vision at church. It was crazy. And I was like, what? So I used to sit in church. I go to a pretty large ministry here in Atlanta. And even back then in the 90s, it was a large ministry. And I would sit in church and I would draw suits of my pastor. For my pastor, I would draw him tailored suits.
What
And
made
I would be in church, like drawing tailored suits, and God would be giving these ideas while I'm taking notes. And it was crazy. And I was like, okay. And I kind of put it aside. And then when I was in high school, I was able to take this class on entrepreneurship. I come from an entrepreneur. My mom has been an entrepreneur for 30 years. And
Hmm.
so I know what that hustle looks like. And so I decided to take this class on entrepreneurship marketing. And I just fell in love because I wasn't like this academic scholar where I was like making A's and all that stuff. But I was a very passionate person. And the more I had my relationship with God, the more God would give me wisdom. And so I became wise very early because I was tapping into the wisdom of God. Really, it was his wisdom. And so I was like, yo, let me tap into this business thing. I really like this. I want to own my own business. I want to do this. I want to be a boss or whatever. And my class offered, one of the classes they offered was fashion, merchandising. And so I took the class and I was like, okay, this is my path. And so I started applying for colleges that had a fashion major, which was great because since I didn't have a super high GPA, I was able to still get in those type of schools. And
Mhm.
so I ended up competing in high school with a fashion competition. I ended up going to state. I think I placed like fourth in the entire state of Georgia in fashion merchandising in high school. And
Let's
then
go.
some God favor happened. One of the top 3 persons was supposed to go to nationals, but one of them had to drop out. And so I got to automatically fit. So I went to nationals in Orlando, and I competed nationally for fashion merchandising. And so that was pretty dope for a high school student to do something like that. And what that did for me was Chick-fil-A recognized it and they gave me a scholarship. And so
Ooh.
I went to, it was super expensive. It was a private school in Miami.
Mhm.
And but Chick-fil-A helped me out a lot with those out-of-state fees because I'm from Atlanta. And so yeah, that was a whole journey, but it was just God written all over it. Because another God moment, just how this is just really a story of how God can order your steps. And so I was applying for schools here in Atlanta. So I applied for Clark. I wanted to go to a HBCU. I think I applied for Clark and Spelman. I think I can't remember if it was Clark or Spelman that had my major, but one of them didn't. I think I was looking at Spelman because I was playing golf at the time, and I was like, okay, well maybe I get a golf scholarship. They were really interested in female golfers at the time, and then I was like, okay, no. And so then, but they didn't have my major. I think Clark had my major, but then I was like, okay. And then I started applying to this other school called AIU, American Intercontinental University, and I was almost like signing the dots to commit to go there for fashion. They had a great fashion program in Buckhead. here where the Lennox Mall, Phillips Plaza, everything is in Atlanta, where you got like more of your fashion moments in Atlanta. And I was about to sign the dotted line, but the school I really wanted to go to was a school in Miami. And I had applied, and I was like, I haven't heard nothing back. And I was like, well, maybe God wants me to stay in Atlanta. I had a boyfriend at the time. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to stay close to my boyfriend. And one day I'm cleaning the kitchen. It's been this envelope on it. I don't know if y'all remember, like in the early 2000s, your parents used to keep their mail just piled up in some kind of like container or counter or something. And so it was this letter. I would clean the kitchen. I'll just pick up the mail but it was flipped over. And I know that letter had to be sitting there like 2-3 months. So one day my mom was like, can you just organize this mail? And I flip it over, and it was my acceptance letter to the school in Miami. And I was almost nervous that I was too late to respond, because they was like, you got to respond by a certain time. And that was what was attached to the Chick-fil-A scholarship, that school. And like, it was like almost like it was probably like 1 month from graduating my senior year, like 1 or 2 months from graduating. Like it was second semester, senior year. And my mom was like, well, you got to go see this school. Because now my mom was like, Miami, you want to go, So of course my mom did her due diligence, went down there. Because the first thing you think about sending your daughter to Miami, you already know what comes to your mind. Like, Miami, she about to be crazy down here. So let me go figure this out. Like, sending my child, it's a 10-hour drive, for 8 hours, 10-hour drive from Atlanta to Miami. So she's like, I can't just hop and get there quick either. So let me just go check this out. She got down there. She fell in love with my school, the professionalism. That's kind of how I got on my journey to fashion, and end up getting 2 degrees at that school in marketing and fashion. But even going to college was a miracle, because like I said, I had like a 2.5, 2.6. I wasn't like, but I had this great thing, an eye for marketing, business, and fashion. And so God, my gift made room for me, and it was able to get me in college, get me a partial scholarship from Chick-fil-A. That's why I'll forever eat chicken, from Chick-fil-A. But yeah, and it just, God did his thing from there. But it took 10 plus years to go from graduating to actually launching my clothing brand. So that's a whole nother journey. But yeah.
Yeah. Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. I think that story is like nuts. Um, can you share on how could you touch on that your dad got addicted to drugs?
Mm.
So like how did that affect you? Did you grow up in like a two-parent household, or your parents were separated or together?
Well, again, my mom was a teen mom, so I really grew up with my grandparents and my mom. Because
Okay.
once my grandparents, or my grandfather in particular, decided not to give me up for adoption, because when my mom hid her pregnancy with me until like 7 months pregnant. That's
Oh
crazy,
wow.
right? Yeah.
Tom.
So I didn't have no prenatal vitamins. So if I act a little crazy sometimes, that's why I was just like, me and my mom joke about that. But no, up until like 7 months, she hid me. So by the time they found out, especially in the 80s, there was no more abortion options. So, but my grandfather was kind of livid. So he put her in a home. He sent her away for 2 months into a home for teen pregnant moms. And the whole purpose of it, and this is where he sent her, was like girls from teen moms from all across the nation were there. And they would send their daughters there, act like they went on to boarding school, and then they'll come back with no kid, and they'll act like nothing happened because they gave the kid away. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of like my origin. Like I was already like, from an identity, a loving and acceptance perspective, I was attacked early. So that happened. And then when my granddaddy saw me, even though my grandma was like, when you were, there was a tension there. When he saw me, he was like, oh yeah, we could never give her up. So, and now that's my best friend. He called me last night time I come over here. So, but even from the beginning, the enemy was after something in me, which was my willingness and my confidence and my acceptance in who I am in
Yeah.
Christ, and my wanting to be loved and all that kind of stuff. And so that happened. So my mom's 16. She has me. She brings me home. I'm with my grandparents.
Mhm.
So I'm growing up in the house with my grandparents and my uncle. And my uncle's like 11 years older than me. He was more like a big brother. So that was my dynamics. My dad was 3 years older than my mom. And so my dad, he was not, of course, my grandfather wasn't gonna let him live with us. So he had his own dynamics. But then, like 2 years after I was born, my grandfather on my father's side died. And I think that kind of triggered my dad's addiction. So, and again, you're talking about, I was born in the mid 80s. So you're talking about the crack epidemic.
Mhm.
So my dad got addicted to cocaine, crack. And yeah, and that was like, honestly, shoot, I remember taking my dad to rehab in 2012, 2000, yeah, 2012. So my dad's addiction went for decades. So yeah, so that is a whole nother dilemma. So now, me as a child longing for a relationship with my father, he was sick, so he was strung out. So I went months, sometimes a year, without even seeing my dad, but longing for him. So that was another rejection, abandonment, wanting to feel apart, loved thing that the enemy will play on with me. So that was another one. And that will go on throughout, like up into my adult years, just longing for that relationship with my dad. And so yeah, so that was a very challenging thing for me
Mhm.
throughout life. And even in my adult years, even now, I find moments where I'm still like, I can be triggered in that way, but now, because I'm more knowledgeable
Yeah.
of who I am in God, I'm more knowledgeable of my value, my worth. I'm also more knowledgeable of a trigger, what a trigger is. I'm in therapy, all those things, when I can identify when I'm having a feeling or a moment, and now I have the tools to get myself out of that moment quickly, whereas before I didn't always. And so that would lead to bouts of, just feeling rejected and wanting to be loved and seeking validation and just different things that it led to before I had the tools and the wisdom to know how to navigate the original womb. So I
Yeah.
know that was a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, 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 sis. I think it was I'm happy for the place that where you are now. Because a lot of people, it takes them a long time, and it's probably still not at a place for them to feel comfortable talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And because the way your grandfather moved, that could have just had you look at men crazy. Just like all men are mean, no, I'm cool because everything of what he did, he sent your mom away. You know what I mean? And clearly her thoughts on that just was it's just I see one of the comments from my sister Cassie. She said that oh, no, I'm sorry, I thought that was, oh, my wife said that. She said a lot of parents did that, send them off when they were pregnant. um and it's it's an interesting thing because even with my mom told me, she said that her mom um was sent away not because she was pregnant, but she was sent away because um she was young, and my mom's mom had like a man or a husband that
Oh,
wasn't biological, so
I
she
get
sent
it.
her away because
Like a
it's,
threat, almost like could be a threat.
yeah, like it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
well,
crazy.
you may try to sleep with my daughter
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or do anything, so I gotta send her away. And it sucks, sis. It sucks because it's just like there are like there are a lot of older people. I love getting to know older people because especially when I meet the ones that's like, yo, we think the same.
Yeah, yeah,
But then there's ones that's like, wait, why do you think like that?
yeah,
And you think that you ball. Like you think you that guy, you think that you're that girl, like, and it's why do you think that way? Or why do you do some of the things that you do? Everybody got a root, everybody got a pass. But honestly, too, just to give them just a little grace, some people they just don't know any better. And that's something for our generation to like understand. Like, yo, you gotta, you. I want you to understand this. That's all they know. They don't know another
Right.
alternative.
Yeah, and
Somebody
then you gotta think about the times too. Like the times were different then. It was more taboo. I'm not saying it's not taboo now to be a teen mom, or even, well, you still have that dynamic of having a, a stepfather coming to the home, like, and even having, as a woman, as a mother, like for me, I have a daughter, so I was married and I'm no longer married, but when I remarried, because I do desire to do that again, I'm going to come in with a whole different mindset, not from a mindset of pushing my daughter away, but a mindset of vetting who I'm marrying. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you? Your character, what's your vices? What is, what I'm saying? Because my daughter's protection is my number one priority from that
yeah.
perspective as a mother, because God trusted me with her to steward her life. And so, whoever I date, it's going to really be, it's good. I'm just going to tell them, like, I'm going to really investigate who you are, your character, your vices, and are you coming to add value or take value or to protect us or to harm us? And so those are things that you have, those are just realities of life. But back then it was just so many things you're talking about, from molestation to it was just a lot of things. And back then we didn't have the tools either. That's why I never was mad at my grandfather.
Okay.
One, I didn't really find out the whole story until I was old enough to digest it. They didn't tell me that like straight out the womb.
Hmm.
But once I got old enough to digest it, I was like, I get it. My grandfather basically became a grandparent at my age, and I'm not even 40 yet. So
Right.
that is different. You know what I'm saying? You trying to be still out here in your 30s, and you a grandfather.
Yeah.
So that I extended grace. Now my mom have was impacted from that differently than I was, of course, because she was the one that was sent away. So that's
Right.
another impact that it had on her, even though her and my grandfather are close. That still was an impact for a teenage girl, just being scared of being away from home all of a sudden, away from your safety, your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
that's why I always tell people my mom is my shero, and that's why I named my clothing brand after her, because I've just watched my mom overcome battle after battle after battle and just still be standing,
Yeah.
and just gave me a level of respect for her and reverence for her that I'll always have. Because she could have chose so many different options. She could have snuck and got her abortion. She could have did a lot of different things, but she fought for me. And one thing my mom always told me, and still to this day, she said, I may regret when I had you, but I don't regret having you. And just
Right.
to imagine needing that level of affirmation as a young kid, like, dang, like that did something for me. Like, I'm not a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I already was dealing with a lot of emotions around why my dad wasn't present. And so I
Hmm.
got old enough to understand the sickness of drug addiction. But as a kid, you just like, why is daddy choosing that over me? Why I'm not more important than the drug? You don't get that as a kid. You just want your father. But for my
Right.
mom to step in and say, hey, you're not a mistake. You have purpose. That thing was very pivotal in helping me to go down the path that I went down without even more extreme trauma added on to my story. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I look, says I think that's crazy. Like, and to just because you like you're really full with a lot of great things. Um and like I look like I think that story is just crazy because um
thank you.
it's a
God.
lot they look, and that's the only result of it. It's for especially knowing God, and for people who probably even have like a way crazier story, they probably don't know him. Look, get to know him,
Yep.
cause it's just like look, like even though things happen the way they did happen, but you still alive.
Yeah.
You still talk about it, and when you don't have to be, what I'm saying, because we live in a world now, um, of where people they Jay, I seen this post and it was really kind of like disgusting. It was like a TikTok joint, and this girl, she made a TikTok. Basically, she was at the abortion clinic, and it's this thing where the nurse would come out and ask, like, "Do you want to at least like kind of like see the baby?
Mm.
Do you want to?" and but I think it's protocol for them to have that option for them. And the girl insinuated like, no, like don't ever come out and ask me if I want to see the baby. Do what y'all need to do so I can get out of here. And I went through the comments for that John, and it was so many women. It was like, yeah, like basically gassing, like, yeah, don't ask me if I want to see the baby. And then it was just like multiple women saying like, yeah, like basically like they had multiple twins, like
Mm-hmm.
time and after time going to the abortion clinic is like it's like this is basically almost like an everyday thing for them, and it's a routine for and it was kind of like it was crazy, like yo, like y'all really out here doing this because to even for the women that do that, it's like the fact that you gotta go there, or you feel like that you have to, and that you are going there, it's kind of like messed up at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so
But
many dynamics in that space, because as you know, I have a nonprofit for girls, and I've been doing that for 13 years
yeah,
here in the city of Atlanta. And I've done everything from get out of my bed at 1 o'clock in the morning to go rescue a girl from a pimp who was abusing her to get her free, to taking girls to the hospital when they have STDs and they're burning extremely bad to the point where if I go over a speed bump, they're screaming in my car because of the amount of discomfort they're having in their private area. So, I've seen everything. So or girls who are raped and then they get pregnant.
yeah,
So there's a lot of things that women go through, and
mm,
and that back to you know why I'm so grateful is that my mom could have aborted me with the dynamics that she was facing, and so the fact that
right,
she didn't,
right,
I just feel like I am more determined to make something out of my life and live a purpose driven life. Everything I do has to be wrapped around impact. It's just necessary
mm,
because I know the plight that my mom endured to get me here. I know the scars that she took to get me here, and even raising me. I remember having to go sit in classes with my mom as she tried to further her education because she was still in high school. I remember when she went to prom, I was right there watching her take her pictures. They have a picture of me, like
I think
so. It's
that's dope.
you know what I mean.
I
So it's
think that's
like,
dope.
yeah. So I mean, I've seen my mom endure domestic violence in her second marriage. After my father, I've seen my mom get in a fight with my father. I literally have visual memories of my mom and my dad fighting over money because my dad needed money to get a hit. So I just seen so many different things to where to get to where I am, it is my determination to make sure that when I leave this world, I leave impact behind, and
Mhm,
not just with what my hands did, but the people that God used me to bless so that they can do even greater. Like I look
mhm,
at myself as a step on a ladder, and everybody I touch should be on my shoulders, not under my feet. Like I'm not trying to be better than the people that I have influence
mhm,
over. I'm trying to make sure they're better than me. I'm trying to lift them on my shoulder. So there's people, I believe in giving the advantage. Like the girls that I mentor, they should go further faster.
yeah,
So it's like that's the thing. And I feel like if I do that well enough, then I fulfill God's will for my life. And I even look at that through fashion. Like for me, fashion is like my goal right now is to dress influencers, but those that I align with, like I want the last thing them to focus on is what they gonna put on. I want to make sure that when they put on their outfit ministers. There are times where I walk into a room and the first thing that a young girl would recognize is my shoe or my earrings or my jacket, and they're like, oh, I like your jacket. Guess what they just did? That just opened the avenue for me
mhm,
to talk to them, and that created relationship, that created a moment to influence, to inspire, to empower. So
yep,
I feel like my one of my passions is to dress the influences of this now generation, the millennials, the generation Z, even the generation Alpha that's going to be eventually coming up soon. So like that's important to me. Like I want them to be like when they step in a room, they feel confident. Because here's the thing, you do feel confident when you dress a certain way. Anybody could be like, I feel confident all the time. That is true. But when you put that drip on, you really feel confident. You really like, oh, and you ain't got to think about that part of you, because you know you showed up in the greatest aspect of you from an external perspective. Now you just got to make sure that inner is shining through. You get what I'm saying? Because that's the greater, the inner. And so that's why my slogan is Fly Inside Out, just overall with everything I do. And then with June Marie, is style your identity, style who you are. Like, no
Right.
one should dress just alike. Like, because if you're styling who you are and we're not just alike, then something about my fashion should be a little different about yours. But they should also be like, I could look at some of my friends that I have a lot of friends that can really dress, and I'll be like, man, that looks so fire on you. Like, you killing that. But for me, I might can't wear that. And that's okay. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because I'm styling Cierra, I'm styling Fly, you're styling you. And so I think that's another unique thing. That's why I wanted to get into tailoring a little bit and not just all ready to wear, is because I wanted to be able to say, okay, let me get to know you. What color patterns do you like? What kind of fabrics do you like? By the time we finish your project, I've gathered so much information from you, is tailor made for you. And that's the difference. It's like you feel like, nah, this represents me. This ain't something I just go pick off a rack. And even though I do want some of my brand to be in, stores or wherever, but I would never let go of that tailored part, because that's the part where I get to really build and make a person feel like, man, this my measurements. This was made to me. Like, it just make you feel so. It's like our cape. It's like, oh man, I feel like Superwoman right now. Like, I can't do nothing wrong. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no. I think that's really dope. I want you to talk more about like the nonprofit.
Okay.
Because you know, dang, like I'm just me. I have a lot of sisters in Christ, and I have two younger sisters. So when you said that, I'm like, yo, like when you going to go rescue them girls, like, all right, who's going with you, or you going by yourself? Like I'm automatically
Oh
thinking
man,
like
you already went into your
big
masculine
brother. I'm
protective,
already thinking,
yeah, masculine protective energy. I appreciate it. No, back when I was really doing that, it was before my daughter. I will say that I haven't done that since I had my daughter, especially now that I'm divorced, and it's just me and my daughter in the house alone. So of course, at me getting up in the middle of the night, me taking her. So now I move with a little more wisdom. Back then, but you got to say, I'm from College Park, Georgia. I kind of grew up around fighting and violence, so I had this like fearlessness about myself, where I just get in my car and pull up. I ain't have no gun back then or none of that. Like, I'll just pull up, be like, I just had this thing about me where I'm a natural protector. And
mhm,
so you could bother me all you want to, and it doesn't really trigger me as much because I've done a lot of internal work.
mhm,
But you bother my loved ones, that's the work I'm still working on, because I am like this protector. And so when I know someone's in danger, I am the one that's willing to put myself out there in order to protect somebody. And
mhm.
so but I would go out there and do what I needed to do, because at the end of the day, I felt like this young girl reached call my, and also I felt like God was with me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, if she called me at 1 a.m. and she don't have nobody else to call, if she called me, let me make it count. Whether I am calling for help, whether I am getting the police involved, whether I am getting other organizations involved, which I did do that at times. I've had to. I am a mandated reporter by the state of Georgia. So when molestation and rapes and things like that have been brought to my attention, which unfortunately it has often been brought to my attention, I've had to report them to the authorities. I had to report a biological father raping his own biological daughter, a middle school girl. We're talking about ages 11 to 13, at church. At church, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't doing it at church, but she attended my church, and she
Right.
trusted in me at church, and I had to report it to the police, and it was a court case and everything. So, you just never know why. I don't know why girls want to come up to me and be like, hey, Fly, I was raped. But they do. So because God has given me that level of, I guess I create a level of safety for them,
Mhm.
I it's my duty to do something. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can't just be like, oh well, let me just pass it off only. No, let me pass it off, but make sure that you're executing and we getting the job done, because It's stewardship. It's all it is. God wants to know, can he trust you with this level of responsibility? You get what I'm saying? And so that's why I think in this season, I feel like I'm beginning to reap organizationally some harvest from seeds I sowed for years with no backing, no support. For a long time, I wasn't even a 501c3. I couldn't even raise donations. I was just doing it off my blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
So so now God is like, well, let me give you some wisdom on structuring your nonprofit so you can I can now send you the right partnerships and the right things so you can do and impact more. But I feel like those doors only open because of the faithfulness to steward it when I didn't have those doors.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that what you said was about that guys trusting you because and I'm happy that we got some people on here watching because have you ever been in a position where it's this thing because I even went live about this months ago on my other ministry page and I was talking about the information that you're not supposed to know, right? So basically what that means is that um somebody come to you, for example, the young lady told you like her dad is raping her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a position where um I was at church and I had to make a phone call and that phone call led to um one of the people that were in ministry at church to be escorted out the church and he went to jail.
Mm.
Um and that was a once it got to me, once it got to me,
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh no, like it was somebody that was connected to a situation, and I was like, that's my brother. So if I know this about somebody that he's connected to, he's going to be looking at me like, what if it was like, wait, bro, so you knew?
Yeah.
Soon as I found out, I made the phone call that I know that I needed to make. And then my phone call was like, well, you already I gotta move on it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why. And then I met with my bro. I said, yo, I said, this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So I made, and then next thing later, it was crazy because it was like maybe 3, 4 years after that situation. And he was like, yo, like that thing you did. And he said, yo, he was like, bro, I never thanked you for that. And my thing was, and for everybody on this live, there's a lot of things, situations we know. We know who cheating. We know who not being faithful. We know a lot of things that people that's not doing kingdom things. You got the information. And sometimes you got it from people who always knowing some information. But my thing is too, did the enemy want you to know that or did God want you to know it so you can make the move
Yeah.
to say something? Because sometimes you're in bondage with the information. You are. The other person ain't, but it got to you for a reason. And I just want to say that to encourage somebody to say something. No, I'll be in the school. I was in fourth grade. I never forget Miss Kolsky. She broke this down. She said there's a difference between somebody that's telling on somebody and then there's a snitch. A snitch is like, oh, Jeremiah's out of his seat. Jeremiah is just out of his seat. There's no reason why you had to let the teacher know Jeremiah's out of his seat. But if somebody does something that's causing danger, maybe potential danger to somebody else, you know what I mean? That's telling on somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But y'all want to say snitching and then people die. Oh, I ain't no snitch. All right, you know what? No, because now you probably can't sleep at night because all you had to do was make a phone call and just say something, and then about because look, people that's watching this live, y'all probably know who's getting taken advantage of at home. Y'all probably know that somebody that's in covenant with somebody that's in an abusive relationship, and y'all won't even go to that person and say, you know what, yo, I know this is happening to you because it probably happened to me. It probably happened to y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
got to speak up and say something. You're not a snitch. You doing the Lord's work. You know what? And look, on that person's time, they're going to be coming to you and say, yo, thank you for allowing God to like use you in that area.
Yeah, and
You know
I
what
mean, the key is just being led by the Holy Spirit, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Because He'll give you wisdom. Again, going back to that's one of my favorite words. I lately, this last couple months, I've been reading Proverbs almost every day.
I mean?
Um, you know, it's just that wisdom of God because in this times where it's getting real dark in the world and there's so many different philosophies and ways of thinking, and I just want to stick with the wisdom of God because at the end, and now He'll give you, you know, a new something just tailored for your your particular circumstance, right? Like
Yeah.
I stay in Proverbs only to kind of really understand his way of thinking and his way of moving. But what happens is it translates into my everyday circumstance of wisdom. And so now if I'm like, okay, God, I got X amount of money, you know, how should I steward this money for the month? Now I'm able to talk to him about my direct circumstance because I understand how he thinks. I understand that he's not really fond of too much debt. So it's like, all right, don't get in too much debt. Don't get, you know what I'm saying? He ain't really fond of that because when
Right.
you know what I'm saying, be the lender, not the borrower. Okay, I understand that concept. So if I have credit, I need to leverage it for a purpose and get out of it quick. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not one to trying to live and be flashy on credit because I understand God's wisdom. And so it's like when you tap into the wisdom of God, he'll even lead you in those type of moments that you're speaking of. Like he'll lead you into like, okay, all right. So I noticed that this person is being abused and I know they probably ashamed to tell me, God, show me how to approach the situation. So that way you're not just, you know, coming in and giving unwarranted anything. He know how to set it up for it to make the impact it needs to make. And so that's why it's so pivotal to have a relationship with God and not just be like religious. You get what I'm saying? Because God will give you, you'll feel it, you'll know when it's time to how to move and when to move. And then there are extreme circumstances when you got to move immediately. A girl calling me at 1 o'clock and she's trying to get away from a pimp trying to kill her, that's an immediate response. Now,
And
God will give me wisdom on how to respond. Now, like I said, now today with a 2-year-old at home, I'm not gonna pack up my 2-year-old and go outside in the middle of the street. All right, that's just not wise to a dangerous situation that can harm her. But I do have relationships and networks now, or what hotlines to call, who to call, who to text, who to get involved to make sure that that person still gets to safety. Now, in my radical days, it was just me and my little Honda Civic. We was finna pull up. We just gonna pull up. But I've
that's
got a little
good.
wiser. We was about to put me and my little Honda Civic. We was pulling
Yeah.
up.
Reliable car pulling up too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I was pulling up. Yeah, quick. So
yeah. Look, I think that you really are a strong individual and that you know somebody said it was in the comments it was like wow they trust you and even though sometimes the people that we are influencing I've been like dad I wish y'all would have called me earlier and not when this situation happened but at least you called so I gotta make the moves that I need to make to get you out this jam. Because here's the thing, and another note too, like our story ain't just for us. Our story really for other people, you
yeah,
know, and that's why it's so important to, and I feel like there's a lot of confusion when it comes to dealing with the generation younger than us. That everybody just always wants y'all to be yourselves. Even like the younger generation, like don't be drawing. Like, don't over here tripping. Just like, yo, be the person. I just need you to be you. That's it. You know what I mean? And when you chilling, they are really building a relationship. And it's like, all right, I can call this person. Because they not just being, and there will be times where, look, I'm not going to be your age. I'm going to be this big bro. I'm going to act like dad. Sometimes it'd be like, yo, Jeremiah, you need to. It's been a couple situations I had to, like sis called me. That's my age, but I had to,
yeah, I get it.
like I had to be. I look, she got
Yeah,
aired out on the phone for something. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, because you know better.
yeah,
That's the thing. You know better. Somebody they may be the same age as you, but sometimes people they really are calling out it's like a cry out for help. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah,
it, it,
and
cry out
then
for help.
that's another point to you. Something that God has been dealing with me on all year, really, is stewarding even your relationships, your friendships, and people that confide in you. You
Hmm.
know, you got to create safe. I think what's going to separate us in these crazy times that we are about to approach, because people think the world crazy, but it's about to get crazier. But in these
Hmm.
crazy times that we're about to approach, I think what's going to separate the real from the fake, and
Yeah.
God's light in people is that the way we steward people. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean by that is like, how do you care for people? How do you, if somebody comes and confide in you about something they really going through, are you waiting to get on the phone and tell everybody what they just told you? Like
Hmm.
that level of stewardship and integrity, that level of caring for people, that level of when a person makes a mistake, not kicking them while they're down, and still being able to keep it real with them, like, hey, yeah, you was wrong. And and that's why that consequence came. However, you know what I'm saying? I'm right here with you, and let's figure out how to get back up. You get what I'm saying? Like, having those level of accountability is what you were really speaking to earlier. Like accountability, like I know you wrong. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but I'm gonna do it in a way that is gonna help rehabilitate you and not destroy who you are and put you back in deeper shame. And so
Right.
it's like just holding each other accountable, but loving people, really just loving people. It's like people are hurting right now. And who can they really call on just to talk to or just to be there for them and not looking, here's just the reason why people need to be healing and getting whole and moving towards being whole. Because when you're healing and you're being whole, somebody else's success or failures don't take advantage of those moments, because sometimes people are looking when you're broken and you're looking to take advantage of people when they're falling, so you're looking like to make them feel worse so you can make yourself feel better, or when somebody's succeeding it makes you envious or jealous because you haven't done the real work that you need to do to feel adequate enough in who you are in God. And so you can't champion your friend that's winning right now, and you can't make them feel like you their biggest cheerleader. Like, let's go, sis, let's get it. I see you. Like, but that all comes from us having our own internal brokenness and not letting God heal that. The more that I heal and know who I am in Christ, the easier it is and the more desirable it is for me to champion somebody else.
Yeah.
When it's not even my time to shine, it's their time to shine. It's like, I see you, let's get it. How can I help you? How can I serve your vision? How can I give you a play up or one up? Like, how can I do that for you? And that's what God really wants, because when that begins to show up, people will recognize the God in you, and they'll be like, man, you're different. That's why I love a popular, well, she's popular nationally, worldwide, really. I love Pinky Cole, here, the CEO of Slutty Vegan. Every time I go to any of her events, I've never left Pinky's presence without seeing her be a blessing to somebody. Now, this
Mm.
lady's company is estimated value is 100 mil plus,
Mm.
and she's winning. And she just started this in 2018. It's only 2023.
I know.
100 mil, 100 mil. We're talking about 5 years, 100 mil. But one thing I learned about her in her presence, I've never been in her presence ever and not see her be a blessing to someone else and give them a move, make a move for them that's going to put them ahead. This could be a moment, and the setting could be situated where we could just be sitting there praising her accomplishments, but
Yeah.
she takes those moments to give somebody else a hand up. When I saw that in action, I said, this woman is doing more for the kingdom than some people that have all these bishop and titles and all these seminary degrees. I see kingdom when I see her live. And that
Yeah.
to me was like, that was me seeing the God light in her. You didn't have to tell me about her relationship with God. I saw it. I see it every
Right.
time I see her. And so, so that is what I also want to represent in the fashion marketplace, in the nonprofit space, whatever space God, sphere of influence God gives me. I just want to be that when people encounter me, they encountered the light of God. And that is really about how you engage with people. That's the biggest ministry. How do we treat one another? And so, yeah, I just want to use my clothing line to do so. I know I got to get out of here in a second. I know my 2-year-old is probably going to be needing my attention, but yeah, man, Jeremiah, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to your platform. I know we couldn't get on your official page, but I'm
It's
really
all good.
excited to see what God's gonna do through your ministry and your platform.
Look, I mean, I'm excited too. I wanted to bring up the scripture, Romans 12:15 to 18. While you were talking, it says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn, live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position." And look, like when things happen, look, we need to meet people where they are. Meet them where they are. And what that means, I love how my boy said this too, because it fits perfectly. When you are doing ministry in the marketplace, it's like when you meet somebody where they are, that doesn't mean you got to change who you are. Because sometimes when we meet certain people, oh, it's like, well, we kind of act like and we sound like that we don't know God anymore for that moment,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but as many times as we are around those people, it's like, well, it's so many occasions where you're like Peter. Everybody want to be tough like Peter, but you think, but it's like y'all acting like the other side of Peter that Peter showed as well, a punk. You know
he's saying he
what I'm
denied him. He
saying?
denied
You
him.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, and not like because prophets in the Bible they were literally being murdered
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. For
Christ.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
just
I'm
for
saying?
being associated with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Associated with him. So yeah.
yeah.
No man,
So,
bro. Listen, I am on a mission to live out the next few decades of my life, God willing, to just to inspire, empower, and impact people with the love of Christ. That's it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And like I said, it looks different depending on what marketplace I'm in, or what stage I'm on. But my heart posture will not change. The source of where I pull from will not be changed. I'm anchored in something so much greater than me, and I know that God has shined His light on my testimony and my story only
mhm,
so that I can be a blessing and a vessel for him to use to do that to others. And so people feel like they're not alone, to tell the 16-year-old mother, like, hey, if my mom could do it and I'm the fruit of her or the fruit of that situation, you
yeah,
can do it too. You never know who's growing inside of you. You could be you could be birthed in the next, what I'm saying, a great disciple of whatever God is gonna call that child to do. So you just never know who's inside you. And just but giving people hope through my story and just giving people tools too to go out and win. Whatever tools God gives me, I try my best to leave the door open for everybody else that he tells me to use them same tools. Like, okay, I got this connection. Let me connect y'all. Oh, okay. Did you try this? This works. Like how can we help each other one up? And so again, bro, thank you so much for your time
yes, yes.
and having me. And I would love to stay connected and anything I could do to
Look,
keep growing bigger. If you have a fashion show one day or whatever in Philly, I'll come up there to that joint. That's what y'all be saying. What y'all be saying up there in Philly? Joint. What y'all be saying?
John.
Yeah, I come up there. I come up to Philly.
All
You
right,
know.
well, look, sis. Well, matter of fact, I don't think because all right, well, no, I'm gonna talk because I am planning to do. That's in the plan to do our first show.
Okay, well, keep me posted.
Um,
Keep me
yeah,
posted.
definitely, yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be lit. But yeah, go ahead and handle little sis.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna hit
got
you
you.
up,
Okay.
and we definitely gonna talk. Okay.
All
All
right.
right, love you so much. I
All
thank
right.
you.
Much love. Give love to your wife too. Hope to meet her one day.
Yeah, no, no, definitely, definitely for
Okay.
sure.
All
All
right,
right,
bet. All right, peace.
all right, all right, y'all. Thank you all for.